Right, hey everyone and welcome back to Cade's Comics. If this is your first time watching the channel, make sure you hit subscribe down below so you never miss another video. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year and I really think we can do it. If this is not your first time watching the channel, I hope you enjoyed this video like all the others. So you guys have seen my top 5 non-superhero books. Well, today I have my top 5 superhero books for you guys. For the people that only read superhero stuff or the people that just want to know more about their favourite superheroes, today I've got you covered. The first book I have is one that I recently sold, and so it's difficult to hold anything up, but there is a reason for that and I'll tell you after I've recommended this book. Spider-Man Life Stories by Chip Zdarsky. This follows Peter Parker if he got bitten by the radioactive spider in 1962 and then aged in normal time. Obviously Peter Parker is still 15 years old, he hasn't aged like a real person would age. We get to see Chip Zdarsky write Spider-Man and other characters within the Marvel world throughout the run of this story. It is only 6 issues I believe. It was the first Spider-Man story I actually read. Having not read any other Spidey stuff, I still found it really enjoyable, and I think it's one that any reader can pick up and read. You don't have to know the complete backstory of Spider-Man. But I said, why did I sell this book? Well, it got announced recently that this story, as well as Spider's Shadow and the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man run, will be all collected in an upcoming Chip Zdarsky Spider-Man omnibus. And when I heard that, my brain exploded because that is all I've ever wanted. I absolutely love Chip Zdarsky's writing on Marvel, as I mentioned in my Howard the Duck review. The way he writes characters, I just find it really funny. I really can't wait for that. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss out on that in an upcoming haul. Next up, to change and do a 180 completely, we have Frank Miller's Batman Year One. When you ask a lot of people where to start with Batman, the obvious answer is Batman Year One. It's great for a new reader, but what about people that are fans of Batman and they haven't read this for some reason? Well, it's a great back to basics story. The artwork throughout is phenomenal. It's really minimalistic, very similar to like a 1950s, 60s comic, and it also reminded me a lot of Kill or Be Killed, like Sean Phillips kind of style. It shows Batman's origin, it shows him taking down thugs. There's a really great animated film of this as well, and it's one that I would really recommend. It's quite short, you can see there, so you can get it done in one sitting. It's a great story following a great hero. And my introduction to Batman was The Killing Joke, as I've mentioned on this channel before. After that, I read the New 52 run by Scott Snyder, and this was almost like a breath of fresh air, taking it back to basics and just kind of having a really simple, really strong Batman story. If you enjoyed the new Batman film, you like this. Another simple story that I really enjoyed is Tom King's Vision. I have this as a trade paperback, and I definitely need to upgrade this to a hardcover just because I want to read it again and again and again. This follows Vision as a father living in the suburbs with his family, but his family is not Scarlet Witch as you see in the MCU and other things like that. The way that Tom King writes this book is absolutely fascinating to me. I know I've said that about loads of these books. He's able to bring in characters like the Grim Reaper, who you can see here on the front, who was a character I'd never heard of, and the way he's folded into the story is fantastic. Just a warning on this one though, there are themes that are definitely for mature readers only. Just bear that in mind if you do decide to go and pick this book up. Okay, we're on to the next two, which are definitely both for mature readers only. These are my two favourite series of all time. They're both from Image and they're both superhero comics. First up, we'll go with my second favourite series. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, subscribe if you have, you'll know what this is. This is the complete Luther Strode series. I read this on the recommendation of my buddy Mad Dog Comics. Hadn't even thought about reading it before. If you guys have heard of it but haven't thought of reading it, do yourself a favour, go check it out. It's incredible. If you're like me, you like quite violent stories, you like fighting, things like that, you will adore this series. This was a book that when I was reading it, I would go to work and just be thinking about it whilst I was at work, thinking about how many hours I had left on my shift so I could go home and read this book. That's what it did to me. It's a great story. It collects 3 volumes of Luther Strode, which are 6 issues each, so 18 issues in total. Can't recommend this book highly enough. Just a quick overview of what it actually is, because I know I keep saying about how good it is, but I haven't told you what it is. This book follows Luther Strode, our titular character, as he starts a workout regime, immediately gets muscle mass and is able to control all of the muscles within his body. But that comes at a price and people end up coming after him. What more can I say about Luther Strode? Hyper-violence, a great story, a great character with great artwork by Tradmore. Check out Luther Strode if you haven't. And finally, I said that Luther Strode was my second favourite comic of all time. Well, what's my first? It's Robert Kirkman, Ryan Ottley and Corey Walker's Invincible. This was made into an Amazon Prime TV show, which is actually what introduced me to Invincible. I didn't know anything about him before that, and I'm so glad that I watched that series and that was my introduction to the character because it's amazing. If you guys don't know anything about this and you do want to know more, or you've read it and you want to hear my complete thoughts, I have a series up on the channel. I'll link it up here to part 1, my review of each compendium of Invincible. The series follows Mark Grayson, who is a superhero. It follows his life as he grows up. You see him grow from a teenager to a man to an adult, and I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but the ending of this book is incredible. It's so fitting and it's so satisfying as well. It is a book I think about all the time. There are certain panels within this book that I just think about all the time. I don't have any tattoos, but I've always said if I want to get a tattoo, it would be something to do with Invincible. Just a little note about me there. That was my list, my top 5 superhero comics. We've got Invincible, Luther Strode, Spider-Man Life Story, Tom King's Vision, and Batman Year One. I know a lot of you probably have heard of all of those books before, but just in case there are any new viewers on the channel or any people that haven't read those books, go check them out. Definitely give them a read. Let me know what you thought of them down in the comments below. I love hearing you guys' thoughts. I love hearing what you thought of the books that I speak about. Give me some recommendations as well. If there are books like Daredevil, for example, I haven't read any Daredevil, so that won't have been on this list. But if there are books like that that you've read and you think are one of the best superhero stories of all time, let me know because I'll go and check it out. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, if anyone is still watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye guys, bye.